All right, so I got a question the other day, and somebody wanted to know what was my MPC journey and why am I so invested in the MPCs right now? And I'm gonna let you guys know. Bolo! So as you guys know, I'm very heavy on the MPC stuff. I love making beats in the MPC. I love the standalone workflow. I just love doing the whole standalone thing, using different keyboards, trying to find better combinations with the MPC and different devices, the MPC software, just everything MPC. And I know a lot of y'all are like, man, I wonder how he got there. But somebody actually asked me the question, and I just decided to, make a quick video on how I got here and, where my journey started and, how did I end up here on YouTube talking about the MPCs so much. So I want to say that my journey started in, I believe, 2002 or 2003. My mind is not the same right now, but I want to say 2003. Because at that time, I was actually producing on a laptop at the time. And I was producing on a school laptop. Back then, my school, Stillman College, we were one of the first schools to get issued laptops back then, and basically we were guinea pigs. We were guinea pigs for Apple, and we were guinea pigs for the PCs as well. I can't remember exactly which PC. I think it was a Hewlett Packard or a Compact or something like that. But they gave us these laptops, and it was actually like backwards on how they gave us these laptops. They gave all the English and history majors apples, and they gave all like the music, entertainment, anything like that, video editing, they gave us all PCs. So I ended up with a PC. And now looking at it, that was totally backwards at that time, because even when I was editing, I was the church editor for a TV show that they aired on a local channel there, and I used to edit the video, and I was using a Mac back then. It was like them Bubble Macs. It was like one of them cool ones, and it did a very good job even back then. But I had a PC, and of course, I found a way to download a few things, and I was very heavy on Reason at the time. Love Reason. Reason was the best. Like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. My Reason, I think 2.5 or 3.0, I think I had 2.5 at the time. Nobody had a better Reason set up than me, because one thing about Reason is you had to go in and actually put in the racks. Like, you really had to know what you were doing on that program to get it started. Nobody had a better setup than me. I don't care what anybody says. I'll put my Reason 2.5, 3.0 setup against anybody's setup. Like, mine was that fire. But the one thing about Reason is it was very thin back then. Even though I was getting beats done faster and everything, it was a very, very, very thin sound when you would export. And I remember one day, one of my guys came to the studio and he brought his MPC there. And just the sure sound of it, like, it was just so big, and it sounded like it just filled up my speakers. It filled up my room. I couldn't imagine like how big it sounded. Like, it was like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? He's like, nothing. I'm just putting my sounds in here and that's it. And I was hooked, and I had to get one. And at the time he had an MPC 2000 XL, and I had to find one, and I did not have that much money, but I found one. I got it off the street from somebody. You know who you are. And one of the buttons on the MP was not working, but it was cool. I got the 2000 XL, and it lasted for about a year and a half. It was in bad shape. They got it from somewhere, don't know, but they got it from somewhere, and I used it. And then later on, the same person came through, and they had an MPC 1000. It was a brand new one. It was the blue MPC 1000, and man, did that thing look good. And I said to myself, I gotta get the MPC 1000 because it sounded pretty cool. It sounded really good. And I ended up going back home to Florida after my mom died, and she left me some money. And, it was just enough for me to, start my real music journey. And I went and I got everything I needed, and I pretty much was done. Everything was depleted from that point. So I had a good starting point, which, during that situation, it was a bad time, but I thank God I had that starting point. And it was cool because it kept me going even after my mother's death. Like it kept my mind somewhat off of it. It didn't really take it all the way off. But during that time, I ended up buying me a Roland Phantom S, and I bought an MPC 1000, brand spanking new. And I was using that setup with Cubase at that time, actually Nuendo at that time. And people were starting to produce in the box at that time where I lived at in Florida, but they were still using MPCs and stuff like that. And I can just remember on just the sheer sound of what I had. Like I had a really good sound, and I would sit on that thing for hours and learn it and just learn it and learn it and learn it and just produce and produce and produce as much as I could. And I ended up getting with a record company by the name of 2 for 1 Records. My guy A-Ski, he was over it. And they were over Jam Pony Express DJs. If you guys are a little older, you'll know about Jam Pony Express. He was the owner of it. And I had access to all the drum samples, sounds, everything. So I used to get all the samples and sounds, all the old chants from the old DJs and everything. And, Jam Pony Express was one of the biggest DJ collectives in Florida, period, and especially South Florida at that time. And he was the owner, and he seen me working, so he was like, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna step your game up a little bit because I see how much you're working for my artists and everything else." And he turned around and gave me a MPC 2500. And that right there was like, whoa, this is crazy, because at the time, those MPCs were very expensive at that time, okay? And, people weren't making as much money as they make now for those things to be that expensive. All those MPCs were very expensive. So when I hear people talking about MPCs are expensive right now, nah, bro. Those things were expensive. Computers were expensive back then. TVs were expensive back then. Everything was expensive. But, GDP was a little different too. So, people had money to spend at that time. Of course, you had apartments that was $650 for like a 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. You had a little extra money to spend at that time. And gas was like $1, like maybe $1 at that time. But I got the MPC 2500 and I got to work, and I worked on that thing forever. Like, still had that MPC 2500 right now to this day. Every once in a while, I still crank it up. I make sure I clean the pads and everything, and I still might make a beat or two on it. But as we all know, these newer MPCs are just much more efficient and much more faster. The sound, the sound is a toss-up. Some people don't really hear a difference. Some people do. I think it's more of a characteristic thing. I do think the older MPCs do hit a little bit harder, but I think with some good mixing, everything sounds really good. So I'm not really into the whole converter thing. Saying shout out to my dog EA Ski, but Ski will always he always let me know what sounds good and what doesn't sound good. But he has the ear for that. Like to me, he's a better mixer than I am. But he's had years and years of experience of doing that. And he can just hear the small nuances. And we talk about it on the phone. We talk for a very long time. Sometimes we be on the phone for hours just talking about stuff like that. And that's a very dope human being, just somebody who is that much invested in sound and stuff like that. So, but when it comes to MPCs, to me, it's kind of like a toss up, because I feel that, you can have something that sounds really good. If you don't know how to mix right, it's going to sound terrible. And you can have something that sounds okay, but if you know how to mix right, it'll sound pretty cool. So that's the way I look at things. It's just one process may take longer than the other. But that's neither here or there. But I used that MPC 2500 all the way up until about 2012. And what happened was a lot of people here in Atlanta basically were switching from using hardware to software, and a lot of people were starting to use FL Studio and Logic at that time. And the studio I was working at was one of the studios where we were producing in Logic. I was producing with Kevin Shakespeare Briggs. If you don't know who he is, he's a multi-platinum producer who produced some of the biggest hits that you guys know. He produced No Scrubs with TLC. He's worked with Pink, Whitney Houston, just about everybody at that time. NSYNC, everybody. Crazy producer. Really good guy. Amazing studio here in Atlanta. It's crazy. And I still go there from time to time. My guy Rod, he's, and my guy Quick, they're over there, managing the spot, and doing their thing. And, he switched over to Logic. And if I wanted to work, I had to learn Logic. And at that time, I went in full blast with Logic. And I still was using a little FL at the time because FL was really cool. I was on FL 11 at that time, which we all know about the circular panel law and everything, which FL sounded amazing back then. Logic sounded really clean. It was really good for people who like to play. I like to, play my MIDI and stuff out. So I was on Logic very heavy from about 2012 till about late 2015. And basically what happened was I always liked Logic, but it just didn't sound right to me. It just didn't sound right. So I kept trying to figure out why my drums was hitting, but they were not hitting like that. And I did notice when we was working with an artist named Doe B, Honorable C-Note came in, and C-Note was playing his beats, but he was still making his beats on his 2500, and you can just hear it cut through everything way more than a lot of us who were using our computers. Like his beats were just on a whole nother level at that time. And I ended up still producing on Logic, but I just really was chasing after that sound. And then I was like, man, I need to kind of switch some things up. So I was actually on a road with Silento at the time. And I was producing some beats in the hotel, and I was like, man, this thing just does not sound right. So I went and I found a local record store, not record store, but a music store. We was in LA, and I found a music store. I forgot the name of it, but I went and bought the MPC studio because I heard that even the software version of the MPC sounded really good. So I bought it, and it was still like 1 point something. So it was still like that old grayish look, whatever. It was still kind of like that. But then like literally after I got it, they had some updates for it to where it went into 2.0. And I was producing with just that MPC studio, which I love that original MPC studio. The Mark II, I'm not really into it, but the first MPC studio sounded amazing. And then I was working on that for a few years along with Logic. Because I still end up making some more like singles from groups that I end up getting signed on Logic. But then I finally like switched all the way over to the MPC once I was on the phone call with Honorable C-Note again, and the MPC X had just dropped, and he was like, "Yo, you seen that X?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I got it." I was like, "Okay, cool." I said, "I'm on the studio." He's like, "Nah, bro, get the X." He's like, "Get it, bro, just get it." So I went and ordered it that day. And I got the X, and ever since that day in 2018, I have not looked back to pretty much anything else. Now, I still use a lot of programs. I still use Studio One. I still use Logic. I still use FL. I'm about to try Reason again. I like Cubases. I can't really get into Ableton, but I'm going to try it again for all my people who think I hate Ableton. But I continue to keep building upon that MPC stuff, even through the flaws that it had. And even that from the flaws that it does have right now, because I think even with the 3.0 software and all the stuff that they're doing, I still think there's a few things that could be kind of switched up and some older things that probably need to come back, but that's for a whole nother conversation. But once I got that X, everything changed, because once I got the X, I worked on that for a while, and then I went ahead and bought me a Live 2 in 2021. And then something interesting happened. I was kind of like frustrated with the MPC stuff. And if you go back to some of my older videos, I was very vocal about the MPC stuff, to the point I was so vocal about it to where Native Instruments sent me over the Machine and the Machine Plus. And it was like, hey, try this out and see what you think about it. And it was actually a very up-to-date, state-of-the-art workflow for what it was at that time. And I got on the Machine Plus for a while, and I was still using the MPC. And then, y'all can go back to my videos from like 2018, 19, 20, 21. And I was doing stuff on the iPad back then. I was doing a lot of iPad production or whatever, because I was trying to find something that could really work for my workflow. And as time went on, I noticed that Akai was doing a lot of new updates, and they seemed like they were caring about what we wanted. They were taking certain things in consideration on what they could do. And that's when you notice they started, bringing out more units. Okay. Then boom, now we have the MPC SE, then we have the MPC Key 61, and then we have the MPC Key 37. And now we have all these different MPCs, which all of them I've owned. And now we get to the point to now we have the MPC Live 3. And I can just see the difference of the growth from what it was from when that X came out in 2017, 2018 to now 2025. We have this MPC Live 3, and who knows what else is going to come next? Because I sure don't know, and I wish I do know what's coming next, because who knows? But at the end of the day, this journey never really stopped once I got that MPC 2000 XL, because I was hooked because of the sound of it, the hands-on use of it, and how it just made my beats sound when I would play them in certain studios. And even when I would bring the hardware, like right now, I bring certain hardware. Like even if I bring my Key 37 or even my MPC Live 3 to the studio, people just crowd around it because they really want to just touch it and make beats on it, because it's the way that I think people really want to produce. I think people really want to use their hands and really just press on the pads. And when they hear the sound, they automatically just hear how big it sounds without having to do so much stuff to it. And with that, I cannot really see myself producing on anything else. Now, I do still produce on my Machine Plus from time to time, because they've been doing some updates and everything on their stuff. And one thing I've always said is I think there's always some good and healthy competition. So I would hope that the Machine Plus can become something better. I hope they come out with another Machine Plus, and I hope they push the boundaries to where now Akai can still keep pushing the boundaries, and the Machine can keep pushing the boundaries, and that will make things better. We don't need a monopoly in this situation. What we need is healthy competition. And I like what they're doing so far as like having Native Instruments sounds on the Machine, on the MPC, and vice versa with them doing that. But I think Native Instruments needs to have it to where their own sounds can go on their machines, and to make them, make the Native Instruments customers happy. I think the MPC needs a better overhaul of the software. I think that we need to get out of beta, and I believe that we need to get the full version. But, they're trying to work on that, but they're working on it. That's the thing about it. Now, with the software integration, I still think Machine has the best ecosystem. I think that they have the best ecosystem from having a standalone unit going directly into the software. But the MPC has came a long way. And now even their integration, don't even have to look at the screen. You can just do everything right there inside of the MPC, and it works fine, and everything is working really good. It's just that they got to do a few tweaks to the software. But that's my journey. That's how I got here. And it wasn't a pleasant journey at times. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish they could do this, and man, I wish they could do that. And everything I wish for, somehow later on down the line, they got it. They got it right. And I think the more and more that we as consumers, and, even me, people who come on here with with being a YouTuber and stuff like that, and we asking for certain features and listening to you guys, I think it's just going to get better and better from here. Okay. And I think this journey is nowhere near ending. And I feel that, I think that, I really feel that from, what a lot of you guys have been asking for, I think a lot of these features and everything are going to keep getting better and better as time goes on. So yeah, that's my journey. That's how I got to this point. And I hope I covered enough. I think I did, but I hope I covered enough. And all I can say is, man, I'm happy to be a part of the MPC family. I'm happy to be a part of the whole standalone unit family across social media and YouTube. And I'm hoping that there's going to be more to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.